Hi, this is Enrique Guerra Medina from Art Then and Now. Thank you for joining us today. This podcast is designed to bring you trends, insights, history, works, and biographies of artists around the world, broadcasted from our studio in Lima, Peru. Making any form of art is a passionate process for a creator. But sometimes your creation can become a menace for your integrity and even kill you. This is not a myth, but a reality. One interesting case comes from the prolific Peruvian writer Ricardo Palma in his famous book called Tradiciones Peruanas. In today's show, we're going to talk about Killed by His Creation, Baltasar Gavilan's story. Baltasar Gavilan was the son of a Spaniard man and an Indian woman. He got an important heritage and spent all his money trying to please the most beautiful woman ever in her time without getting any kind of response. Mariquita Martinez was the name of this beautiful woman, very elegant, good manners, very graceful, and almost all men were in love with her every time that she used to walk bridge up and bridge down, especially at nights during the moonlit times. Ricardo Palma describes the scene this way. In colonial times, you could hardly walk across the bridge on moonlit nights. It was that the rendezvous point for everyone. Both sidewalks were occupied by elegant young men who, helped by the little air of the river, found refreshment to the canicular heat, delighted the eyes nailing them in the Lima's women who came out to breathe in the fresh breeze, embalming the atmosphere with the soft perfume of jasmine that populated their hair. One specific night, Mariquita Martinez was walking as she always used to do it, smiling to men here and there, and all at once a man took her waist abruptly from behind, took off a very sharp knife, and he just immediately sliced one of the precious and well ornamented Mariquita Martinez braids. She was in panic. Everybody was in panic at that point because some people believed that there were some cursors that had come from under the bridge through the river to take advantage of people's belongings. At that point, the victim, Mariquita Martinez, started screaming and everybody ran away from the bridge. Doors were closed in the town and everybody wanted to get some protection from the possible intrusion of cursors. In the end, this was just fake news, because cursors were not the ones who were at the bridge. The man who took Mariquita Martinez's waist and cut one of his braids was Baltasar Gavilan. Tired of being rejected by Mariquita Martinez, he decided to give her a lesson, so he did what he did. To avoid being teased by others, embarrassed by that big cut in one of his braids, Mariquita Martinez was afraid of getting some nicknames like, for example, Pelona, which means a woman without hair. Lima's people used to have this bad habit of giving nicknames to certain characters who passed through extraordinary situations. So Mariquita Martinez decided to lock down herself into a kind of convent, and there were no longer news about her. On the other side, Baltasar Gavilan, trying to escape from justice, locked down himself at San Francisco Monastery. Mariquita's case did not grow big, so there was not rush in taking Baltasar out of the monastery by the colonial authorities. Baltasar spent 3 years at San Francisco Monastery. Tired of doing nothing, he started carving some little figures on wood and later created big pieces of art such as that one of the Virgin Mary. People who came in and out of the convent spread the news about Baltasar's works, and such was his success that soon the Viceroy Marquis of Villagarcia, the maximum Spanish authority in the colony then, visited him and became excited about Baltasar's sculptural skills. They had a very colloquial conversation, and Baltasar asked them to allow him to leave the monastery without any punishment. The viceroy scratched his ear and then asked him to create a sculpture of Felipe V to be settled on the bridge as a redress for what he did. That way, the population would forget the wrongdoing and would start admiring the genius. Palma continues his narration saying, 5 months later, in 1738, it was celebrated in Lima with solemn pomp and splendid celebrations the placement on the arc of the bridge of the equestrian statue of Felipe V. Later on, as part of the Holy Thursday procession, Baltasar was asked to create a sculpture of the Death, which was planned to lead the 20 religious litter processions. Palma's story does not say when, but it probably happened after Baltasar had already left the monastery. The day that the sculpture of the Death was done, there was great celebration. Being a good artist but an alcohol abuser too, he spent hours drinking with his friends and acquaintances. When he went back to his atelier, he was so drunk that he immediately fell asleep. He used to have a bed in his small atelier, so the sculpture of the Death was nearby him. He would probably have awakened in the middle of the night, and when he opened his eyes, the horrendous sculpture pointing the arrow toward him was an image that he could not handle, and he suffered a heart attack that killed him immediately. His sculpture became famous and even was shown by the Franciscan order during the Holy Thursday processions until 1824, about a century after Baltasar's death. The horrifying 1.19 centimeter sculpture cannot be visited by the public. It is kept locked somewhere in the sacristy of the convent of San Agustin Church in Lima, Peru. As you enjoy this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast with your friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to build a special connection with you and your sensitivity for the arts. Have a nice day.